Recording is on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga by the Pool Inside today. And this month, I've been asking for your feedback in regards to what you'd like to work on and what your body's needing. So the request for today was hip openers, shoulder release, and a little bit of mid to upper back, and also balance. So I'm going to wrap all of that together into a wonderful practice for you today. I did bring a chair over to the side because some of the balance poses will be fairly challenging. So you might like to have access to a chair or to a wall as we're performing those balance poses. I also have my yoga strap and block as well. And what we're going to do to start class today is come down onto your back. So get yourself nice and comfortable. And our goal is to review some of the balance poses we're going to be doing today while you are on your back, so you don't have to worry about your balance, but you can worry about, I shouldn't say worry, you can focus on the pose itself and notice what your body can do in the pose. So as you lay on your back, I'd like you to flex your feet as if you were standing on the ground. And activate your legs. So we're not here in Shavasana in a relaxed place, but we have engagement of the thighs and flexing of the feet, a nice neutral spine. And then we'll just bring the right knee up to the chest and hug it in toward you. And as you do that, we'll flex and point the right ankle, do some circles, just kind of warming up through that ankle joint. If we have mobility in our ankle, that leads to stability when we're standing on our feet in our balance pose. So just loosening up those muscles around the ankle, loosening up the Achilles tendon and the feet. And then extend that leg back out as if you were standing on that foot. Bring the left knee up into your chest. It's a little gentle release for your low back, and start to rotate that ankle as well, or flex and point. You might notice a little crack or a pop in your ankle. Just work all of that out, moving through your range of motion. And just a couple more breaths here. And then relax that foot back down to the floor. We'll bring the right knee back up to the chest. And then with your right hand, just start to circle the knee away from you and around and back in toward your chest. So making just a little nice gentle hip circle. If you feel like you're rocking over to the side, you can take your left arm out to kind of counterbalance your body. But I'd like you to also work on stabilizing through your core as you're doing this. And then reverse the circle, so you're coming across with the knee, down away from you, around and back in. And this should be gentle. We're just warming up that joint, going through your range of motion in your hip. And this movement is called circumduction of the hip. We'll do two more around this way. And one more. Then just setting that right foot down next to your left inner thigh, allow your right knee to open into standing tree pose. And just relax here for a few breaths and notice how close your knee is to the floor. So when we stand up for tree, unless your hips are really flexible, you're not going to be able to point your knee directly out to the side of your body when you're standing in tree. It's going to be at somewhat of an angle. So just notice what that angle is on your right side. Your left leg is nice and strong here, as if you're standing right up on your left foot and you're balancing. And then we'll bring that knee back in. Extend your leg all the way down. Hug your left knee into your chest. And then we'll start to circle by pushing the leg away, down, across the body, and back in. Bracing your abs and breathing here, or stabilizing with your arm out to the side is fine. And our hips can be very different from one side to the other. So we're being mindful of that and not forcing our hip to go through the same range of motion you felt on the other side. Let's take it around one more time this direction. And then reverse, bringing the knee across the body, away from you. Open it out to the side and come around. So I know I do have participants who have had a hip replacement, and I have not experienced that, or I don't have a lot of knowledge in terms of what the, what your doctor might say to do and not to do as far as rotation is concerned. So if that's you, just be mindful of that and focus on what you've learned about your body and from your physician. We'll go around one more time this way. And then come back to center. Place your foot down next to your right inner thigh and let your knee fall open to the side for your reclining tree pose. And then just relax. Now, if you gently tighten your left glute, you can really press that knee open a little bit more. And when we're standing on our feet and balancing, that's what I'll have you do. So you can try that here. And then relax that muscle and just let everything go. Except for this right leg, I want that as if you were standing on that right foot. So a flexed ankle and strong thigh muscles. And then bring that knee back to neutral. Hug both knees into your chest. And we'll do both legs circling at the same time. It's called an egg beater circle. So with your hands on your knees, you'll open your knees out. I have my big toes still touching. Push your legs forward, close together, and bring them back toward you. So this is similar to a clamshell also, where your feet are still touching and the knees are opening apart. We'll do two more around this way. And then reverse by pressing the knees away from you, open, circle out and around back toward your chest. And of course, always let any discomfort be your guide here if you're feeling any strain in the hips at all. Just nice, mild range of motion. One more around this way. And then set your feet down on the floor. Let both knees open. Inner thighs are stretching. Soles of the feet together. And relax in Supta Baddha Konasana. And just notice, what is your range of motion? How far open do your knees go? Some of you are really flexible in the hips, and you might even have your legs all the way to the floor here. And some fairly tight in the hips. Your knees might be really high. Whatever it is for you, just relax and breathe and soften. Relax your belly, your shoulders, and your upper back. And let's close those knees back together. Lower your left leg to the floor as if you're standing on that leg. Bring your right knee up to your chest. Hold behind your thigh and start to slowly straighten and bend your knee. So we're going to move through a very gentle hamstring lengthening. And if you can't get your leg all the way to straighten, that's absolutely fine. You can also grab your yoga strap, hold that behind your leg so your leg can be lower, and you can straighten and bend right in here. In fact, I prefer you do that so you can get your legs straight at whatever height you can go with that leg. Let's do 3 more. Straighten and bend. More of a stretch if your foot's flexed. 2 and 1. Now we'll hold this. If you have your strap, you can actually transfer it to the bottom of the foot if that's a better stretch for you. Now we will be doing this pose standing and balancing. So I want you to focus on standing on your left leg here, straight and strong. And 2 more breaths. Now keep your strap, if you can, around your foot, but bend your knee again toward you. You can kind of hold it in your hand here. And open your leg out to the side. Now, how is this different from tree pose? I don't have my foot to the inner thigh. I have my knee bent way up, and that leg is off the floor. So what I'd like you to try to do is hold this open hip and start to straighten and bend your knee really slowly and carefully. So it's what we did with the leg directly up, but now it involves a hip opener, an inner thigh stretch, as well as a hamstring stretch. Let's do 1 more to straighten that leg all the way out and hold. And imagine you're balancing on your left foot, standing nice and tall. 2 more breaths. And then slowly bend that knee again. Bring the knee back to the midline. And we'll release the strap from the bottom of the right foot. Allow that leg to relax down to the mat. We'll hug the left knee into the chest, hold behind your thigh. Slowly straighten and bend. I can tell already this one wants to be tighter this morning. So I'm going to grab that yoga strap again, hold it behind my leg so I can lower it a little bit more. So our goal is not to move the upper leg in the hip joint. We're just moving the knee. So the upper leg is in a stable, still position as we move the knee through flexion and extension. 2 more repetitions. And hold on that last one. If you want, you can transfer your strap to the bottom of the foot instead of behind the leg and hold. Now your right leg should be active. Flex that ankle, tighten up your leg muscles. Nice neutral spinal alignment, and brace your abs as well. Imagine you're doing this pose standing straight up. And take 2 more breaths. Then keep the strap on your foot if possible. Bend the knee. And we'll take that knee and open it out to the side until you feel a good stretch here. And then slowly straighten and bend your left knee while you have the hip in an open position. And straighten and bend slowly, especially at that very end range of motion where you're getting that leg almost to straight. Go slow so you're not straining any muscles. Really kind to your body today. And we'll do 2 more. Our last one, we hold the leg straight in our hip opener. Imagine standing tall on your feet, holding this balance pose. Now it can be pretty certain to say it won't quite look like this when we're on our feet. So give yourself that permission that you're going to be wiggling and wobbling, and it won't be quite as firm as you are here. So we're using the ground here on our back to focus on our flexibility. That way when we get up on our feet, we can focus a little bit more on balance. All right, let's rebend that knee. Bring it back through the midline. Release the yoga strap. Extend both legs long. And take a nice big inhale. Reach your arms above your head. Stretch. And then exhale. Hug both knees right into your chest. And then holding your knees or behind your legs, start to roll yourself forward and back until you have enough momentum to bring yourself all the way up to a seat. And come to a nice, comfortable seated position. So we'll bring the knees to open into our seated Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. So you might have a different distance between the knees to the floor as when you were laying on your back, because our hips are situated in a different position. So let's hold at the ankles if that's available for you. And we can also press outward with the elbows if that feels okay. And we'll extend the body forward into a nice stretch here. Maybe feeling a little bit of lengthening through the lower back, through the inner thighs, and into the hips and glutes. One more breath. And then we'll come up. Working on a pose called cow face. We'll take the right leg and keep it bent and bring it in towards your body underneath you. So the left leg in cow face actually crosses over to where both of your knees are going to stack. And that's a very difficult pose to get in for many of us. So your option would be to set this foot directly to the floor here, or to just cross it over and keep the knee up rather than pulling this foot back and trying to stack the knees. So I want you to be in a comfortable place for you. With our shoulders, we'll release the upper body with our yoga strap for cow face arms. So our left knee is on top. So we'll take the yoga strap into the right hand, reach it up, drop that strap behind you. I'm feeling a little sore here today from the strength training class I taught yesterday. So I'm feeling a little tight in the tricep. So what you can do is give your arm a push from the front or a pull from the back to find out what your range of motion here in this tricep is. Then the other hand will reach behind to find that strap dangling behind you and try to walk your fingertips as closely as you can together. Now in cow face, we can stay upright or we can start to hinge forward toward that bent knee, which might increase the hip stretch. So I want you to decide for your body today, what is the best plan of attack? Do you want the foot here, sitting upright? You can even extend the leg out straight for a half cow face. And you can keep the body upright or you can fold it forward. So a nice release for our hips and a nice release for our shoulders. 2 more breaths. And then bring yourself up if you're with that forward lean. We always release the bottom arm gently first so we don't strain the shoulder. And then release the top arm. We'll prepare to switch the legs. So now the left leg will come under the bottom. And I'm kind of tucking my leg underneath myself so that this foot is over to the right side of my body. Now you might just be here. You might cross the leg over a little bit or try to stack your knees. So my knees don't like this too much on this side. So I'm going to stay right in here. You can also extend that leg out to straight. So let's take that yoga strap into the left hand. We'll reach it up and then just bend your elbow and let it fall back. And notice what your range of motion is. Your elbow might be really far forward if that's as much as you can lift your arm up. So take your time, find the stretch that you have on this side, and then carefully turn your thumb side of your hand down, reach behind your back until you find your strap. Now you can do this without a strap too, or grab a hand towel from the kitchen, or a belt, or a men's tie, because they're not using them anymore. They're hanging around the house. So anything like that you can use as a yoga strap. It's great. Now my hips are starting to feel like I could do a little bit more now that I've been sitting here for a second. So if you can adjust your position, find a better stretch, and maybe hinge forward a little bit here. As we're holding this cow face arm position, you might be able to start to inch your fingertips a little closer as well. So find a good full range of motion. Make sure you don't feel any strain in the front of your right shoulder. And we'll hold 2 more breaths. And then lift up with the body. Release your bottom arm gently first. And then your top arm releases. And we unwind the legs carefully. Nicely done. We'll come into a wide leg seated hamstring position. So extend both legs as wide as you feel comfortable. If your knees need to bend, that's fine. Try to flex your feet. Open your arms out to the side. Take a nice breath in. Exhale and side stretch over to the right side and really lengthen this left side waist. And then start to turn your body to face your right leg and reach that left hand across to your big toe. And then open back out to your side stretch. Inhale to come up, both arms out. Side stretch over to the left. Open up the right side waist. And try to keep your right sitting bone down on the mat. Sometimes when we side bend, our hip starts to lift. So keep pressing. And then rotate so your chest is facing your left thigh and reach across toward that left big toe. And we're releasing in our mid-back area. Tight upper trapezius muscles and lat muscles. One more breath. Then open back out to your side stretch. And inhale, come back up. Then bring both hands either behind you to hinge forward and press with your fingertips, or both hands in front of you. And find your range of motion here in a wide leg forward fold. You can use a block to support your hands if you like. You can also use your block, if you're pretty flexible, you can use a block to support your forehead. And just take a few breaths and relax. And if you are up here, this is good. I just want you to find the stretch that works best for you. One more breath. And then slowly walk those hands back in. And we'll close our legs together and transition to hands and knees. Spin right over to all fours. If you need padding for your knees, make sure that you have a comfortable place there. And we'll come into an extended child's pose, reaching your arms out long. Drop your forehead down to the mat and really stretch your shoulders. Your hips can be sitting all the way back to your heels, or you can be slightly up with your hips in more of that puppy pose position. If your forehead doesn't find the mat, use your block to support your forehead. And one more breath here in extended child's pose. And then we'll move into down dog, feeling that same stretch through your shoulders as you tuck the toes, lift the hips up, push way back off of your hands, and get that wonderful shoulder stretch you just experienced in your child's pose. Drop your heels down to the floor and breathe here. Then slowly begin to walk your feet toward your hands, coming toward the top edge of your mat into forward bend. Soft knees. Grab opposite elbows for ragdoll pose and let your upper back stretch. So the weight of your arms can kind of pull downward toward the earth. It pulls on your head, so it frees up tension in your neck. And it releases tight upper trapezius muscle as well as your lats. 2 more breaths in our ragdoll pose. And then as we start to roll up, if you have, if you have your yoga strap, grab a hold of it and then roll your spine all the way up to stand. And once you come nice and tall, bring that strap behind your back, separating your hands about shoulders width apart. Contract the muscles of the backs of your shoulders and try to lift your arms up and then lower them back down. If you need to separate your hands wider to get range of motion, separate those hands, lift them up any amount, and lower them down. We'll do 3 more repetitions. Lift and lower. Notice where you're feeling the stretch. Is it in your shoulders? Is it in your chest muscles? Is it in your biceps? Last one, lift up and hold. So either stay upright if this feels best for you, or we can take this back into our forward fold. So with the arms behind us, soften your knees a little bit, start to drop your chest toward your thighs, bending forward, and then lift your arms way up. Now, having your hands separated using your yoga strap, you might be able to get your arms to pass neutral and to go over toward the top of your head. And that's allowing gravity to help us with this stretch. If that is uncomfortable for you, definitely adjust the pose so that this feels like a lovely stretch and not a strain of the shoulders. And we'll take 2 more breaths. Then if you're in your forward bend, we'll come out the way we came in by softening the knees, starting to lift the chest off of the thighs, and rising up to our shoulder stretch, then releasing the arms down. All right, keep your yoga strap with you, and we'll be on our feet for balance. So sometimes I just like to toss it around my shoulders so I can have it. If you need a chair, we'll be standing on the right foot for tree pose, so you can have it available. Now, when we are in tree, our knee is turned out, yes? And so sometimes it helps us to balance if both of our hips are rotated out slightly. So if you see my feet, I'm in a little bit of a V position. And so both of my thighs are rotated open. So start to lift your left knee up and slide that foot wherever it feels comfortable for you, except for right against your knee, and open that knee out to the side. Palms can be at your heart. You can be holding onto your chair for a little bit of assistance. And we'll breathe in our tree pose. Now make this your tree. So if you want to move your arms, if you want to turn your gaze from side to side to challenge your balance, all of that is up to you. I had one of my Pilates Reformer participants, and you all know who he is because he's a TV star. Eric Escala from PBS actually takes my Reformer class. And he sent me an article on longevity. And being able to stand in this pose for 1 minute is a sign of our longevity. So we want to go for this to increase our lifespan. All right, let's come on down. Again, your feet are both turned out. We'll shift your body weight over into that left foot. Bring your right knee up at whatever angle is suitable for your hip flexibility, and hold your tree pose. So we can firm up the back side muscle to open up the knee a little wider. That also helps us to stabilize our pelvis. And then changing your arms wherever you want to go here. So I want you to have the mindset that it's okay if you use the wall or the chair, because sometimes all you need is a tiny little touch of your finger, and you're not using it really like a crutch. It's just there for you so you feel more successful in your balance pose. You're able to concentrate on your alignment a little bit more. Let's hold one more breath. Longevity. And then bring that foot back down. Okay, now we can align our feet to neutral. About hips distance apart. We'll balance on our right leg again and bring the left knee up toward your chest and hold underneath your knee. Now, if you find it hard to hold under your knee, don't have the flexibility, you can wrap your yoga strap underneath your knee, and that way your leg can be lower. And we will slowly straighten and bend. We did this on our back. Two more. And then straighten that leg out and hold. So a couple different ways we can do this pose. We can keep the thigh by holding on to it. We can take our yoga strap and place it under the bottom of our foot and extend the leg out. Kind of like that, because then I can use my chair a little bit here. And we'll just hold that leg and breathe and stand tall. Now, if you have tight hamstrings, I'm going to try to turn to my side a little bit, and you hold your leg up, sometimes it starts to look like this because the tight hamstrings pulling on our sitting bone. So what I want you to do is go for good posture first, even if that means your leg is lower. Then you can gradually bring it up. Let's hold a couple more breaths. Some of you might be able to do the yogi toe lock, where you take your peace fingers, 1 and 2, slide it through the space between your big toe and your second toe, and then extend the leg out. Last breath. And then rebend that knee and set your foot back down to the floor. Let's try the other side. I'm just going to move my chair to this side just in case I need it. So we have left foot strong to stand upon. Right knee comes up to the chest, and we try to hold underneath the knee. So this helps us to keep the upper leg stable so it doesn't drop down as we straighten and bend. When you straighten, you're contracting your quad muscle in the top of the thigh. That helps the hamstring to relax. One more, we hold it out. This is a harder side for me to balance, so I'm going to need that chair for sure. So as we're holding here, we can also take the strap under the bottom of the foot, or we can do our yogi toe lock. Slide the finger through the big toe and bring that leg up. So it's likely you're going to stumble out of this pose a couple of times and lose it. So take your time to come back in and maybe adjust. Maybe that's not working so well and I'm going to need my yoga strap. So adjust what you need to do on this side to feel successful in this balance pose. Energy from the ground through the foot, through the ankle, through those lower leg stabilizers. And let's take 2 more breaths here. Excellent. 1 more breath. Rebend the knee and release it down. So there's one more that we practiced on our back. Going to stand again on the right side. Bring the left knee up toward your chest. And then we'll open it out to the side, wherever this feels comfortable for your hip. And again, since this knee is open, this foot on the ground can be turned out slightly. So both of your thighs are in rotation. And if we can hold under this leg, we are going to go straighten and bend. You can strap that yoga strap under the bottom of your leg to help you. 2 more. The last one we hold. Maybe you slide the strap under the bottom of your foot. Maybe you take your yogi toe lock and extend that leg out. If you're using your chair or wall, gradually see if you can let it go. 2 breaths here. Then we rebend the knee. We bring it back in front of our body and relax it down. Ooh, all right, guys, 1 more on the other side. Stand strong on your left foot with a slight turnout. Bring your right knee up. Open it to the side, wherever your flexibility allows. And then slowly we'll straighten and bend. So what this looks like with your strap, it's under your leg. You can hold it up here, straighten, and bend. Our strap is our friend. It's a beautiful thing. Straighten it out and hold it. Maybe that strap goes underneath your foot or our yogi toe lock. And then once you're stable, see if you can let go. Now it's okay if this knee is somewhat bent on this side. It can look like this. That's absolutely fine. Wherever you need to be today. 2 more breaths. See if you can stand taller. Up, up, up. 1 more breath. Then rebend that knee. Bring it back to the midline and release your foot down. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to move this back over to the side. We are done with balancing. One of the best poses for hip opening is Pigeon. And then sometimes people really struggle getting into Pigeon. So for me, I need to have some support under my hip to do Pigeon. So I want you to decide right now, are you a Pigeon person or are you a lay on your back figure 4 stretch person? I want you to decide because we're going to be holding that pose for 3 minutes. Get my timer here ready. So our goal is 3 minutes. If you don't make it that long, that's okay. So if you're going to be on your back, go ahead and come down onto your back. And we'll cross the right ankle over the left. If you're doing Pigeon, we'll start in downward facing dog. And we'll bring that right knee forward toward the right wrist. And then bring the ankle across the body toward the left side of your mat and start to come on down. So for me, this hip is really high off the floor. It's hard for me to relax in Pigeon. So that's where the blanket or the block really comes in handy. I'm going to tuck it right underneath that hip so I can relax that hip and soften. And then come on down into your Pigeon stretch. So a lot of yoga teachers are really, they're adamant that you do Pigeon a certain way, that you try to be completely stacked. And for me, I know the limitations of my body, and as well as a lot of participants don't allow for that type of a Pigeon pose. So it's not a bad thing to have to modify your Pigeon. And so ways that you might do that is to lay more over onto this hip and stretch it here. You might not be totally stacked, but the goal is to feel the stretch and to feel it in a way that's good for your body without pain in your knees, without pain in your back, without pain in your hips. So you know that best place for your body. If you're on your back, you have that figure 4 stretch, which is a wonderful modification for Pigeon. You have the right ankle crossed over the left thigh, and you're pulling your knees right up into your chest and just holding that. And we are at 1 minute, 45 seconds. So we're a little over halfway through our pose. So since we've been here for a while, you might be able to adjust the position that you're in to maybe deepen the stretch. At the same time, maybe your body's saying that's too much, so you might have to adjust your pose to a lesser intense place in that pose. So a nice option for Pigeon, if you'd like to take it, is to bend the back knee and add the quadricep stretch. So we've got about 30 seconds to go here. So if you'd like to take that particular stretch, I'm grabbing my pant leg, which is a nice option. You can pull. Use your yoga strap if you're not able to get hold of your foot. Just 15 seconds remaining. And then slowly make your way out of the pose. If you're on your back, uncross that ankle and maybe do some windshield wipers with your legs or hug your knees into your chest. Do some knee circles. If you're in Pigeon, we can press back to our down dog. And then just pedal out our feet a little bit. Move the hips around somewhat to let the blood flow. Release in and out from the hips. And then taking your time to choose your position on the other side for the left side. In Pigeon, we bring the left knee toward the left wrist, and that lower leg is on an angle toward the right side of your mat. As we slowly make our way into the pose using props as needed. If you're on your back, right ankle crosses left thigh, hug your knees up into your chest. And our timer begins now for 3 minutes. So as best as you can, really try to relax in this stretch. It's more of a yin pose where we hold it for a longer period of time to focus not only on releasing the tight muscles, but the connective tissue as well. Take a few really slow breaths, especially the exhalation. So take a full in breath and then very slowly exhale. You can exhale with the Ujjayi breath. Makes that soft little whisper sound in the back of your throat. And then just check in to notice if you're tensing anything in your body. So usual suspects are the jaw. Sometimes we tighten our teeth and clench and we don't even realize it. Sometimes we squint our eyes or furrow our brow. Other times we shrug our shoulders up toward our ears and we tense in the upper back. Just relax all those usual areas. And of course the areas we're stretching too in that left hip. Adjust if needed. We're halfway through the pose, 90 seconds to go. Maybe you can deepen. So stay really mindful, continually checking in on how your body's feeling in this pose. It's okay to relax, but try not to check out and with your mind be thinking elsewhere. Stay tuned in. And then make any adjustments you might need as we start to move into the last final seconds of our pose. 30 seconds to go. We can maybe reach for that back leg and add the quad stretch. Just a couple more deep breaths. And then slowly make your way out of the pose. If you're on your back, again, you can take some windshield wiper. If you're in your pigeon, press back to down dog, pedal out the feet. And then we'll all make our way back to the top of our mat into forward bend, noticing how this forward bend feels as compared to our first one. When we took our ragdoll pose, crossing hands on the opposite elbows and just let your body relax and hang. You can sweep to side a little bit if that feels good, or move your head, relaxing your neck. Then release those arms. Feet can be hips distance apart or tight together. Start to bend your knees deeply. Sit back in toward your heels and come up to chair pose, Utkatasana. Arms can be lifted. They can be at heart center. They can be behind you, airplane arms if you'd like. Two more breaths in chair. Also known as thunderbolt or powerful pose. It's also known as intense pose. And press palms at your heart. Take a step behind you with your right foot. Coming into warrior one, there's a little bit of turnout in that back foot. Left hand goes to your hip, right arm reaches. Take a little side stretch over to your left, and we're opening up the right hip flexor. Just gently squeeze your right gluteal muscle, and that will really help that hip flexor to open up and to relax. One more breath. And then come out of that side bend, bring your palms back to your heart. Take a step forward into chair pose. Intense pose, powerful pose, hold. Feel your weight shift back into your heels, maybe almost lifting your toes up off the mat. And then palms can come back to your heart. Take a step back behind you with your left foot. A slight turn out of that foot, squaring your hips forward. Warrior one. And your right hand goes to your right hip. The left arm reaches and extends upward. And gently take a side bend toward the right side. Opening your left hip flexor. Squeeze that left gluteal muscle just slightly. I'm also feeling a really nice stretch in my left calf because I don't have much of a turnout with my back foot. So as I'm pressing that heel down, really feeling a nice stretch there, which is a wonderful option if your foot's a little bit more neutral. And we'll take one more breath. Inhale, come back up. Palms at your heart. Step into chair. Hold powerful pose. Two more breaths. Then inhale, sweep the arms out and up, stretch. Exhale, swan dive into forward fold. Step your feet back, come into plank pose. And then you can lower your knees down if that feels better for you, but we're going to try a little bit of a hip flexor release here with up dog. And you can keep your toes tucked under, or you can turn your toes over and start to drop your hips down to the floor and lift your heart. So this is a back bend, so be really careful. Make sure that your lower back can handle this. Slightly squeeze your gluteals and release the fronts of both hips. Your knees can be down, absolutely fine. Two more breaths. And if your knees are up, go ahead and let them find the floor and press your hands forward as you push back. And we come into child's pose again, but this time widen your knees really wide. So we're in a wide knee child's pose. Let your belly drop right between the space of the knees. And you can keep your arms firm and a little bit of a dynamic tension, or you can completely relax your arms here. Two more breaths. And pull yourself forward as we finish our class in a seated position. Just comfortable, simple cross-leg pose. Sitting tall. You can close your eyes for a little bit, just check in, notice how your body's feeling. Noticing the journey that you've been on this past hour. The journey to open the hips. The journey for longevity and balance. The journey to relax tight shoulders and upper back. The journey to become a fuller, better person, spirit, mind, and body. So with eyes still closed, just drop your right ear toward your right shoulder, relaxing the left side of your neck. Slowly circle downward, dropping your chin toward your chest. Keep circling to bring the left ear toward the left shoulder. Then find a neutral position with your head. We'll go the other way, left ear, left shoulder. Roll the chin down toward the chest. Right ear, right shoulder. And back to neutral. Make your eyes open. We'll take a breath together. Inhale, extend through the fingertips. Let the arms open back out as you exhale. Noticing freedom in your shoulders. Pain-free range of motion. Last breath in, press the palms. Draw your thumbs into heart center. It has been my honor to guide you through your practice today, and the light and joy that resides within me honors the light and joy in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. Be checking your email. I plan to get out a message to you today about the month of July. I've got a couple classes I'll need to cancel due to a little travel trip for my mom's 85th birthday. And so I'll let you know about that in an email. If you can stay and chat a minute or two, that would be excellent. If not, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for supporting LisaBug programming. It tickles my heart. Take care.